Hello, I'm Jane Dutton. Good to have you with us.
This is Eyewitness News.
The Constitutional Court has dismissed an application from Jacob Zuma and the Umkhonto weSizwe Party to recuse a number of justices from the IEC's appeal against the Electoral Court's ruling that the former president can run for office in the upcoming elections.
The correct position here is that that is your job. You have to sometimes find people guilty of contempt and then sometimes impose a punitive sentence. That is what this court is expected to do. And it cannot be a basis for recusal, even if the litigant who is on the receiving end believes that it is unjust. The mere fact that they believe it is unjust does not make the decision unjust in the eyes of the law.
The Electoral Commission of South Africa's lawyers say the Electoral Court's findings on former Zuma's eligibility to run for parliament in the upcoming elections undermined the Constitutional Court's authority. The court is currently hearing an appeal from the IEC against the ruling which gave Zuma's nomination as an MP for the MK party the go-ahead. Lawyers for Zuma say it's not for the IEC to bar him from running for office.
The power to stand in an election is in the full province of the IEC. It's clear from Section 31A. But the power to qualify or disqualify someone, if elected to hold office, has got absolutely nothing to do with the IEC. Absolutely. That secondary power, which only arises if you are elected, is in the province of the National Assembly.
This week has been dominated by the hunt for survivors after a devastating and fatal building collapse in George in the Western Cape. Many construction workers have died and many have been pulled to safety. It's a journey that we all shared with the families and friends of the victims.
It's like a pain, this is me penis is blam. Me rug lager as ek moet doen, anders kan ek reg beweeg. Maar alles nou by die gebou onderkant my, alles besig om die rommel op te doen is weg te vat uit hulle gesê. En dan wat hulle seker my van onaf kom trouw. Ja, ek hoop nie dat ek kan goed maak, ek gaan dit nie maak. Ek het nie meer krag, ek is moeg.
I was crying, I don't lie, I was crying. Because why? When I look back to that picture, how that rubble was laying there, it was a miracle for him, for anyone to get out there alive.
Delvin Suffers was rescued shortly after leaving this message. He was the electrician on site when the 5-story apartment complex fell to the ground, trapping 81 workers on Monday. Survivors have been used to identify the bodies of their colleagues who died in the fold. 38 construction workers are still unaccounted for.
Going on 100 hours of this operation now. The demolition crews are working side by side with rescue workers who also have specialist equipment at hand should they need. This is still very much considered a search and rescue operation, with officials not yet determining the site an active crime scene as a recovery operation. The earth-moving machinery arrived from Cape Town earlier today. They have focused much of their efforts for the day on the back end of the site, cracking through concrete slabs while rescuers stand on the periphery ready to jump in should they detect anything under the rubble. Unfortunately, 3 bodies were already recovered earlier today, bringing the death toll to 12. We also heard from health officials here in the Western Cape that a temporary forensic facility will be set up on site so not to overburden the morgue facilities here in the Garden Route.
The DA has accused the ANC of running a post-democracy secret police service. DA spokesperson for policing, Andrew Whitfield, and the party's parliamentary candidate, Ian Cameron, attended the case against 8 VIP protection police officers linked to Deputy President Paul Mashatile. The men were arrested after a video emerged showing the brutal assault of 2 men by the VIP guards who were armed on the N1 highway in July last year.
It's almost becoming a post-1994 secret police for the ANC. It's like there's new unit of cops, unmarked, with luxury vehicles, and they are law unto their own. And you know what the sad part is? Many of the people in their own unit contacted us after this incident, and they said they feel so embarrassed because their ranks have been made cheap by these members.
One of the victims said all he remembers was being threatened by men with guns on the highway, prompting him to try to flee. So with just over 2 weeks to go before the country takes to the general elections, political parties have taken to communities across KwaZulu-Natal in a bid to win them over. Both the ANC and the EFF's general secretaries have been engaging with party members and residents in the eThekwini area. Fikile Mbalula has been conducting door-to-door engagements, while the Red Berets' Marshal Dlamini has been assessing his party's performance. The governing ANC's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, will also be in KZN this weekend, along with the DA's John Steenhuisen, while the EFF's Julius Malema is expected in the province next week. Politics or crime? Action SA Gauteng Premier Funzi Ngubeni said he was being followed prior to being hijacked and kidnapped this week. Ngubeni and the party's Youth Forum chairperson Shlupi Gafane were abducted by armed gunmen in Centurion on Tuesday.
You know, in this country, because of the high levels of crime, I don't want to speculate. But one thing is for sure is that there have been hijacked or kidnapped with guns.
Police are looking to draw back dozens of highly skilled special operatives who left for the private sector. These include senior detectives, but also members of the country's most elite policing units, the Special Task Force and the National Intervention Unit. They're highly trained in combat, counter-assault and anti-terrorism and are considered South Africa's most elite policing units in the country. But over the years, dozens have left to the private sector for better pay. Police Minister Becky Cele said they are trying by all means to bring back the members who've left.
We are also inviting back our special forces that might have left the organization. So it's one area that we're doing, strengthening the organization.
We've also heard that SAPS recently promoted all constables and sergeants within STF and the NIU to warrant officers. In the Middle East, as Israel stopped Al Jazeera network from broadcasting from Gaza and Israel, we saw Israeli tanks enter Rafah. That prompted the US to suspend some bomb shipments to Israel due to concerns about the, quote, end use of these bombs winding up in dense urban areas. The suspended arms delivery included 2,000-pound bombs, which are among the most destructive in Israel's arsenal. And here back at home, International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor said Israel is effectively starving Palestinians as a method of warfare by not allowing sufficient aid to enter the Gaza Strip.
We all continue to call on the ICC to prosecute these war crimes and to issue arrest warrants for those leaders in Israel who have ordered and presided over these crimes.
So if you're into kitsch and good music, I know what you'll be doing this weekend. It's the Eurovision Song Contest Grand Final. It'll take place in the Sweden's Malmö Arena tomorrow, where representatives from 26 countries will compete.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Up to 30,000 demonstrators protested against Israel's participation in the competition over its offensive in Gaza on Thursday, when the country's representative, Eden Golan, took part in the second semi-final. In the big lineup of original acts, Croatia, Switzerland and Ukraine are favourites to win the fair, distinguished by kitsch and rhinestones. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next week.
Eyewitness News, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, log on to ewn.co.za or ewn.mobi.